Hello fellow bibliophiles and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa and today I thought I'd bake a gingerbread cake the Victorian way. So the Victorian Way is the name of a fantastic YouTube series put on by English Heritage all about Victorian cooking. So basically it's a Victorian cooking show, and that is amazing. I found it a few years ago and I've been obsessed with it since. I love learning about history through a domestic lens, and I specifically love learning about history through food. I think I first found the Victorian Way by watching clips of Ruth Goodman. Ruth Goodman, if you don't know, is a historian who wrote one of my favorite nonfiction books about the Victorian era called How to Be a Victorian, which is all about the details of daily life as a Victorian, and it covers a really wide range of class experiences. Ruth Goodman also lived like a Victorian for a period of time, and there's also a whole TV series that she's in called Victorian Farm. She's also written books about other time periods as well, and there's definitely a Tudor Farm series that I've watched and some other time periods too. So anyway, while watching clips of Ruth Goodman, I managed to stumble upon this Victorian cooking show. The Victorian Way features the cook, Mrs. Crocombe, of Audley End House, played by Kathy Hipperson. Mrs. Crocombe was a real person who worked at the very real location of Audley End House in the 1880s, where she was head cook for Lord and Lady Braybrook. And the show features recipes from her handwritten cookbook, which was donated to English Heritage. The cookbook has recipes mostly from Eliza Acton, but also newspapers and visitors to the house. You can actually visit Audley End in the UK and learn more about Victorian country life and cooking, which sounds really exciting. So I will link the playlist for the Victorian Way down below, as well as a playlist of some really interesting behind-the-scenes videos all about the history of Audley End House. And now, let's bake something the Victorian way. I decided to make gingerbread cake, which is one of Mrs. Crocombe's favorites. So we're in the kitchen. I have my recipe, which I've copied out from the video, and it was all in grams, so I used Google to convert it to cups. So hopefully this works out well. The first thing we're doing is creaming the butter. And I would love to do this with an electric mixer, but we are doing this the Victorian way, and my son is sleeping behind that door. Butter is so hard. Okay, now we add the sugar. All right, now we'll continue creaming. Okay, the butter is creamed. Now let's add the eggs. Break them in a separate bowl and beat them a little first. I can't do one-handed egg cracks. Add flour a little at a time with treacle. Okay. 3 3/4 cup of flour. Treacle is molasses. I've got blackstrap molasses. Of course, we need the ginger. I like things to be very gingery, but I guess they probably didn't have fresh ginger. The Victorian area. Well, they did, just not in Britain. So I'm not sure how the Victorians made their milk warm, but I'm microwaving mine. Alright, so I've buttered and floured my tin, and let's put it in. It's done! So it's done. I've brewed myself a nice cup of tea, and let's try the cake. I think I like it. It's very dense and molassesy. It doesn't really strike me as what I think of as gingerbread. I like my gingerbread to be really gingery. And there was a lot of ginger in here, but it was all ground ginger, and I like fresh ginger in my gingerbread. And I actually like gingerbread to be really spicy. I put in a little black pepper in my recipe. But I've never had a gingerbread cake before. And it's interesting and very Victorian, very dense, and goes well with the tea. But I don't know if it's something I would want to make all the time. It was kind of a pain, especially creaming the butter, and it really required a lot of molasses and a lot of flour. But yeah, I think I'll enjoy it this week while reading for Victober. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're having a wonderful Victober. Go take a look and enjoy Victorian Way if you haven't gotten a chance to see it already. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you in another more bookish video very soon. Bye!